everybody, Jason Bermas here. We got a great show lined up for you today. I was on a panel with the Union of the Unwanted, which I do from time to time, and we were, of course, discussing the strikes in Iran. But the topics quickly changed and even got into the validity of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Spoiler alert, I think it happened. Others think it was fabricated. This one is an absolute wild ride. It's only the first half. It's going to be a two-parter. There is some coarse language from some other individuals, so I do want to put that warning out there. But other than that, buckle up and get ready to make sense of the madness.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for World War III, also called the Union of the Unwanted. We attempt to live stream every other Monday at 6 or 7 p.m. It's funny, it changes every week, but we try our hardest to do 7 p.m. Eastern time every other Monday. I think with the summer, we'll have a little bit, my schedule freed up a little bit. We'll be able to kind of keep this on a regular basis more often than not. Plus, there's tons of things to talk about. So gathering with my dear friends to chat and brainstorm and share our research and knowledge and wisdom, I think is beneficial to ourselves and the world around us. But you can find all those links and much more at theunionoftheunwanted.com. Like I always remind you guys, we live stream on YouTube, but it's not exclusively on YouTube. The videos will be also uploaded to our Rumble channel, and then also the audio will be up within 48 hours roughly on all the audio platforms. So I'm really excited because we got an amazing group of people today. We have one of the people in this picture behind me with one of the founding fathers of the Union of the Unwanted, Mike, returned. Thank you, Mike, for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
And then, of course, we have Sam, Charlie, and we have a bunch of returning friends on the show. I was joking prior to recording that, we're going to brainstorm what to talk about, but obviously that was a joke. There's much to talk about. The question is, where do we start? Does anybody have somewhere they want to start? I mean, Jason's usually low energy, but do you have any energy today, Jason? Do you want to start and just ramp things up right from the get-go?
I got plenty of energy on this one. Number one, I don't think people really get the gravity of just what happened in a very short amount of time. Literally from bombs that were going off in Iran last weekend while a bunch of billionaires and their Predator-class buddies were on the builder boat into quote-unquote strikes on nuclear facilities that have never been proven to be nuclear. Now let's just start there. At least when we had the war of terror and that propaganda mess, you had someone like Colin Powell sitting there before everybody with phony pictures about weapons of mass destruction and chemical weapons facilities and all that. Didn't even do that. Not even close. Okay? Instead, we have a president that unilaterally acted with zero evidence. I mean, we want to talk about Donald Rumsfeld. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. When we've been told for 2+ decades, Ricky and the gang, they were weeks or months away from a nuclear weapon. Now, just really quickly, I want people to think about this. Number one, let's say they had a nuclear weapon. They haven't used it. They've never produced evidence of it. But I can tell you about nuclear power, and not the future, but the present. In the present time, right now, the military-industrial complex tech companies, that's Google, that's Amazon, that's Meta, have all announced that they are building massive AI facilities powered by what? Small nuclear reactors. So right out of the gates, it's not just a weapons thing. We're telling Iran they're not allowed to evolve and use that technology. That's one. And then number two, another thing I'm not seeing talked about. Yes, the president came out and basically said that this was Top Gun Maverick. Kind of, same exact plot in the mountains. We had our fighter pilots and they hit it. There's no videos of these attacks. Okay, it's only the aftermath. So we have to ask ourselves, one, were these manned aircraft? Two, were they drones? Or three, were they other types of weapons and delivery systems, possibly space weapons that we do know exist, which they're actually proselytizing for right now with this Golden Dome, aka SDI initiative nonsense. Now, with all those things, we're also in a spot where we're going to war with a first world nation of 90 plus million people with an IQ, average IQ of over 100. We would be envious of that in the United States at this point. Okay? And no one seems to care. Now, I pray to God that this truly can de-escalate, but because we don't know if they were actually nuclear facilities, we don't know if they were weapons facilities, and the mantra within 48 hours by our own president, because the mantra from Israel was already there, everybody, is now regime change. And I've said this since October 7th and the escalation. If you allow a nation to continually be aggressive and do whatever they want without consequence, they will do what they're telling you they're going to do. And the Greater Israel Project's a real thing. Lebanon, Iran, parts of Syria, they want it. And the question
Can
is...
I just push back on one little thing out of respect
Sure.
and not pushing back on the gist of what you're saying, but I just want to say that I've seen a lot. I don't ever use the term black pill. I think it's a CIA term that's been put out, kind of what they did to normies with conspiracy theorists. They're doing it to conspiracy theorists with black pills. I call them the cold facts. They're the cold fact people. I just want to say that I really do honestly believe in my heart of hearts that people don't want this war and that people are pushing back. I mean, maybe it's just my algorithm, and I'll accept that. But when I've been watching, I like everybody in my stream. My Twitter feed is like, fuck this war, this war is stupid. The only people I don't see doing that are the Zionists, the bots, the controlled ops, and the neocon warmongers. So the only issue
hold on, Sam, and a large part.
Else.
Hold on, and a large part of the quote unquote new alternative media that we've seen come up in the last.
But those are the controlled op guys, the Charlie Kirks, the Laura Loomer.
Patrick Bet David.
Yeah, they're all the control ops, but
the
like
Iranian.
I just see, like, I don't know, maybe I have a little more hope, or maybe I want more
I'm
hope,
with you, bro, but there's been no
people pushing back.
There's been no real pushback in the sense of now, like on television, Thomas Massey's a loser, right? We already had Trump going after him. My point is this: they were able to do this despite his base overwhelmingly not wanting this. I totally agree with you there. And this is very problematic because what is the march forward? If the opposition is still somewhat sympathetic to Trump and he's already acted, and I'd say this also, it also puts him in a position now where this lunatic mantra that Iran tried to kill him and we're behind these assassination attempts, you want to get capped? You want Iran to be blamed? You just set yourself up for it, big guy. And I don't know if I'd be that sympathetic, but I sure wouldn't be pleased with a dead president and J.D. Vance, a.k.a. Peter Thiel, in control of everything. So, look, I'm going to draw it back from there. I'm not very hopeful at this point. I don't know that there's enough repercussions. And the repercussions I've seen, like Kim Iverson, right? I think she's done this broadcast before, and I know a lot of people have been on her show. She says that she's going to vote. Now that he's done this, she's voting Democrat, down ticket. For what? For what? Like, what is that going to do? That's not even good on the rhetoric. So, okay, yeah. I'm going to pull it back and let somebody else
switch all the time, though, man. Like, even in our little space, how many people said, oh, screw Trump? And then he starts doing something, and they come back in, oh, no, Trump, I voted. My whole family voted for Trump. The fake Trump assassination happens, and people start crying over that nonsense. Completely fake and staged, man. So people fall for it time and time and again.
See, brother, that's where I'm going to disagree with you. I looked at that, and I don't think it was staged at all. I think that's a real thing. I think they really tried to shoot him. But again,
you can think that, but it wasn't real.
Well, again, you can say that, but hold on.
And millions of people believe it was fake. And I got a text that day. I still remember from a guy who thinks, one of many people that think I'm nuts. And he said, well, I guess I hope you're going to write about the fake Trump shooting. And I said, well, you finally found something you thought was fake. So everybody that hated him thought it was fake. But there are many questions about it. But either way, regardless, it's not being investigated. And Kash Patel told you it's not going
That's why it's not being investigated. Trump never wants to talk about it. He said that during the RPAC, his hand was covered with blood. Jason, was his hand covered in blood?
Listen, I watched every single video available all the way till they took him in. He did have blood on his hand, His whole bald head was also showing, which the media didn't pick up on, which is another tell that it looks like it's totally real. He'd never let his hair get like that, especially on something that was staged. I watched the guy die in the stands. I watched the hydraulics go off from the stray bullets. I have yet to see anything that convinces me that there was no shooting, or that the shootings directly did not go after Trump and it was staged in that manner. I just haven't seen it. And I've literally, I'm going to tell you right now.
Let's debate it. You and I on my show will debate it, because I don't want to.
No, I don't want to take up all the time on this either.
But I think that
I think that creates,
debate you on that.
But and I'd be happy to. I think that creates a great divide. My good friend Pat Miletich, God love him, love Pat. He thinks it's staged too, and there's just now such a divide between what we believe, because they installed Trump. I don't believe that either. Like, I think we did get some wins you wouldn't have gotten with Kamala Harris, right? I do think, obviously, the January 6ers don't get pardoned. I don't think Ross Ulbricht goes anywhere. I don't think Bobby Kennedy gets in there. And look, Bobby Kennedy, out of this whole administration, the rhetoric is at least matching with some of the actions. And look, again, this is my thing.
Bro, you are ignoring RFK Jr.'s Epstein ties, and
I'm not ignoring that. I've talked about it for years.
This is not our guy, bro.
But again,
this is the issue.
These Epstein, listen, so many people get the Epstein stuff 100% wrong. And that's another thing. I've literally been looking at everything publicly available for now almost 20 years, since 2008. And to me, do I think that all these people know each other, worked like Musk and Epstein absolutely seem to know each other through Ghislaine Maxwell. I never debated. I was one of the first people while all the MAGA people were saying, oh, Trump's not involved, he never got on his plane, pointing out that Trump had Epstein on his plane. I've read through the actual Black Book with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I was one of the first people to talk about the Peter Thiel associations that came up in his Rolodex. I've seen all this stuff, but you gotta put everything into perspective, and I try to have discernment about all of it. Just because one thing is wildly false and we're lied to doesn't mean everything is. And I think that also, I think that's how we all play into this quote-unquote post-truth world, where now you just throw everything at the wall, and it almost doesn't matter because there's so much noise, it is almost impossible to discern the truth. I'm going to let somebody else talk because I've taken so much time.
Sometimes bad people do good things. And it's as simple as that sometimes. So sometimes bad people do good things and good people do bad things. And the association, guilt by association, so be it. Yeah. You can. I think it's all of government at this point. All guilt by association.
And I just want to finish my point. I think the issue that I had, it's nothing personal, Jason, it's just people keep falling back for these clowns. It's just constantly going left and right. One decade, the left is telling the truth, quote unquote, during the 2000s, and people gravitate to the left. And then the right turns, everyone gravitates to the right. People got to quit falling for the damn game. It gets played out each and every damn time.
But let me say
That's
this.
what I get frustrated with,
there
man. There are no good guys.
But
That's
brother,
all I wanted to say.
I'll say this. There are people very, very minute on both sides that have remained consistent for decades. Whether, like, for instance, when the Bush administration is in there, and Dennis Kucinich is the one with the 33 articles of impeachment, the last 3 on 9/11. He's remained consistently anti-war no matter who's in there, right? I've got to give him credit for that. Thomas Massey has remained consistent. Rand Paul, who I've disagreed with on a few things, has remained consistent. Ron Paul is about as consistent as it gets. So, look, I've never been blue no matter who, or it's MAGA Town USA, red down. I feel like if you want to be in the game, you got to call out both sides. There is not a true alternative right now. And there really has never, outside of Ross Perot on the executive level, we really haven't seen one in my lifetime. RFK Jr. might have been that person, but we saw how that was going. He wasn't going to get the media coverage. I'm not saying we're changing the world. I'm saying we have big, big problems within our executive branch, within these administrations. When you got somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, that has, think about this. In the first administration, after the quote-unquote Duma attacks, she was out there asking for the evidence that anything had happened in Syria. And Mattis couldn't tell her whether there was an attack. Just 3-4 months ago, she was saying that Iran did not have the capabilities for nuclear weapons, and now she's on the sidelines. It's unacceptable to me. Now, is she going to get tossed out, or is she going to get vilified if she does speak up? Probably. And that's a huge issue. And I think that people like myself have to remain consistent. And those that did play team baseball do need to wake up and say, okay, this is totally insane. And I don't know how much vocalizing it moves the needle so that policy can change, but I don't have a better option than running my mouth. Getting out in the street, posting, trying to make people aware. Other than that, I mean, what else do you do to change the system?
Can I jump in? Yeah, so I'm just going to contend that this is an occultocracy using the superficial vestiges of our bureaucracy to go about infiltrating a largely scripted maneuver and using the belief systems of people to corral them into participation with fundamentally immoral systems. And the longer in which we buy into the bullshit and, in essence, swallow it and pretend that it's okay to sell our children into slavery, it's going to get incrementally worse as they move into what is a large bloodletting ceremony. And they've done it before, and they're going to do it again. And as long as we continue to think that a ballistics wound can heal in less than 1 month's time, we're going to get duped into participation, when really we should stop suggesting an alternative within a fundamentally broken system that is the equivalent of slavery.
Well, I think, the biggest issue that has come out of this, and I think that I'm a little excited about, is the fact that because Israel's involved, for the first time in my lifetime, Israel, not only Zionism, but Jewish, disproportionate power is being discussed everywhere. Every podcast, it's Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro created a monster with her. That's all she talks about now. You've got Jason Whitlock, a black sportscaster. A lot of black people are talking about it. And I think
The blacks.
yeah, and I think that's why it's going to be a harder sell than most of their wars, because this has been so much in the news. That,
I don't think Israel comes back from this, Don. I don't think they come back from this, and I would even go as far as to say that maybe the power elites, the Babylonian bankers, the black nobility, whoever you think runs it, could just do away with that whole name of that country and the people in it. And maybe, I'm not saying kill off everybody, but just get them out of there and replace it with another population, which would be British people, since they're a little higher up on the cog, in my humble opinion. You got the black nobility, then you have the 3 different pillars that run everything, which is the Vatican, the Bank of England, and the District of Columbia. And then under there is America, Israel, Saudi Arabia. I mean, there's an awesome doc going out right now. I forget who put it out. That just is breaking down how, like, the Shah of Iran was British royalty. The guy they want to replace the head of Iran right now is British royalty. Like, the British have made America the bad guys, and I'm not saying that our government hasn't done it willfully, but they've really turned it into the Britain, America, and the Master Blaster from fucking Mad Max, right? Where we're just a big fucking idiot, and we got this tiny smart guy in the back of us telling us what to do. But I think that brand is dead. I think it's going to be impossible now, after October 7th in particular, for them to come back, go, hey man, we're sorry about all that. I mean, what happened in Palestine, what they're doing in 5 other countries right now. I think that brand is dead, and they sacrifice people all the time. They sacrifice brands all the time. I mean, like, you never hear about Bill Gates anymore because that brand is dead. I'm not saying he's not doing stuff, but he's not in the news like he used to be. Now it's all the new tech guys, the guy who runs OpenAI, the guy who Peter Thiel, all these other guys are the new brands that they're pushing in front of us because the old brands are dead, in my humble opinion.
Well, Sam, I think I was explaining this to my wife today because she wasn't quite tracking with how we got to this point from October 7th to the U.S. basically bombing Iran. And I was like, it's like this, honey. We all have that friend that goes to the bar with us and then starts a fight and was like, oh, the big guy, he's with me. The big guy's going to come handle this for me. And that's exactly what happened. Is we see Israel creates a situation because they know the U.S. in this case will back them up. And that's literally exactly what happened.
Well, let me just say a couple things here. Number one, when this type of thing happens, the U.S. is already there. They put their first permanent base there. It was either in 2017 or 2021, although U.S. military always in that region. Special forces were on the ground on October 7th. 100%, Totally verified. They spent more special forces there. In order for the weapon systems, again, that were used last weekend, forget about what just happened, you would need U.S. special forces or military forces for delivery systems, codes, knowledge, etc. So, in one essence, that is the Anglo-American Israeli base in the Middle East is Israel. Now, Don, let me push back a little bit on Candace Owens for a second, okay? Candace Owens may be doing all that, but then she has Harvey Weinstein on for an hour trying to...
I know, she had Stephen A. Smith, too. I know.
But think about Weinstein in particular. You know what she wasn't talking about? How about Black Cube and all the IDF officers that worked for Black Cube that were running spy ops for Harvey Weinstein and blackmail ops for Harvey Weinstein? Let me say something else about Candace Owens. Went to bat for Andrew Tate. Absolutely a human trafficker and pedophile. Okay? 100%. Milk Bar TV, Nathan Livingston's done the work on that. And went to bat for Conor McGregor, who just assaulted somebody last week in Ibiza on camera again after being convicted for sexual assault and is currently outside of the States probably for the next 5 months because he's about to be served with another sexual assault case out of the Miami assault. Okay? So those are the people she surrounds herself with. I can't take her seriously. And I'm somebody that realizes she has told a lot of truth about Zionism. She has told a lot of truth about NASA and all these other subjects. But getting back to what, everybody kind of glossed over, all the big boys, and you can call them, the controlled ops, they're the ones getting millions of views. The vast majority of them, other than, the Rogan subsection, are pretty bloodthirsty right now. Like they're going along with this whole thing. They can't have nuclear weapons. This is strength and power. That's bad. It's as bad or worse than Bongino and Patel basically towing the line, not just on Epstein, but everything else out there. So again, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that somehow now we can get a de-escalation and some people can come back to their anti-war roots or their common senses. But I got a bad feeling about this one. A really, really bad feeling about this one. Because again, when you let Israel do what it wants and it gets a pat on the head, it's just going to continue to do it. That's my thoughts.
I've said this before, and I'll just reiterate it. Israel is a country so fake they had to name it Israel just to get you to believe in it. It was literally created to accomplish this task in a gradual incendiary culmination to erupt. And like Sam was saying, on point across the board, Sam, same page. I agree with you. That's what's happening. And that's going to be the catalyst for the paradigm flip that sees the boomers kind of get brushed aside, and then the next gen that's been predictively programmed and prepared for whatever is coming is going to step into whatever the hell becomes normal at that point. So this is a big bait and switch build up to a paradigm flip, and it's going to be really weird and peculiar, and I don't know how that's going to play out. It could be short-term eruptions. It could be proxy wars. It could be gradual economic asphyxiation. It could be all of the above. But I think what we're looking at is something where it's much more the people. They arguably don't even need false flags at this point. They have so many completely owned, just holy patsy, just pundit bitches that they can just roll pretending that they're fighting with one another, and we'll just buy into it. So it's just a largely theatrical reality. It's a combination of the two.
Well, is Israel? I mean, Israel attacked Iran in the middle of peace negotiations, and they're still going along with Israel has the right to defend itself. But apparently, Iran doesn't have the right to defend itself. And then we attacked Iran again. And I have a connection to Iran. My sister married an Iranian. I've known lots of Iranians over the years. This is. I don't think they've invaded another country in 300 or maybe 3,000 years or whatever. This is absurd that they're trying to make them out to be some kind of a villain in this and making it as if we have some kind of interest. We have no interest there at all. And for Trump to fall down on this, it's so obvious. It's as obvious when he was holding out Bibi Netanyahu's chair in that photo op. I mean, that was very symbolic. But he is whatever's left of the MAGA movement. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like that have left him. Tucker Carlson. And I know this is all show. This is all politics. But Trump is the symbolic opposition. We know he's ridiculous and everything, but this is what you got. If you don't like what's going on, hey, you got Trump. That's your opposition. And it's crumbling. So I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I don't think they can sell this very well. I think the young generation, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said that 70% of draft age people are not physically or mentally or emotionally, they'd all be disqualified. 4F. They literally couldn't serve. So they could not even field an army if they wanted to. So I think this is a hard sell. And you've been that litany about Israel has a right to defend itself. That goes out the window when they take the first strike. And then we throw a strike in there after Iran did defend itself. So I just think this is and it's really shining a light on people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, the guy Dave Portnoy, even like that. Something like Barstool Sports are showing these prominent Jews that go, just apoplectic on this issue, where they're so committed to Israel and they're supposed to be Americans. And I'd like to see the whole issue of dual citizenship be brought up, including that guy in Congress, the Republican, that wore his IDF uniform to Congress. That should be a reason to be censored right there. I mean, that's as bad as waving Mexican flags in the streets.
I wanted to
someone
make a
like
comment
Tucker.
on
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Brian. Go
I
ahead.
jumped in. Go ahead, Monica.
No,
Hi, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes, hello. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I have a question for you guys. So someone like Tucker Carlson, who it sounds like you're saying is controlled opposition, is that because he's still alive and he's saying what he's saying, or because of his family CIA ties? All of the above. Because if he's legit and like one of us in saying this, is it possible they would just let him live and have that big of a platform?
I mean, that everybody says that all the time, and I've told people, I say, listening to some of the people that would say that about me with my limited platform, I say, well, so apparently the only way you can be legit is to die, to be killed. Because if you're alive, well, why are they letting you live? How's Sam Tripoli still alive? How is he? That's ridiculous.
Hey,
Well, no offense to Sam, but he doesn't have the audience Tucker Carlson does. That's the difference.
Well, you're right. He doesn't, but you would say that.
I'm in the room. I can hear you.
I know, but listen, neither do I, neither does the lovely Monica Perez. None of us here have the platform that Tucker Carlson does. Let's just face it. I mean, we're all great, but
So can I answer that? I don't buy into that either. This is something that was asked of me and the guys, especially when Loose Change was big and we were in a bunch of magazines and there was that explosion. I'd say this. The people that should really be concerned are the ones that have firsthand knowledge, have firsthand evidence in the form of documentation or video. Those are usually the people that you see end up dead.
Michael Hastings.
Yeah, I mean, those are... think about it this way. When was the last time a prominent media pundit even died of suspicious circumstances? And I'll give you the answer. At least the internet's answer. It would probably be Andrew Breitbart because of the heart attack at a young age. But it wasn't like I was a huge Breitbart guy. I mean, if you were looking at Breitbart, even around the time that he died, had something similar happened in Israel, chances are Breitbart would have been on board with this Iran strike as well. So I question whether or not Breitbart even had, something suspicious happened to him or just had a heart attack. I would say this is, I get it. Tucker's got a huge reach, but he's also been largely dismissed by almost half the country. And by half the country, I mean the ones that actually are politically astute and aware, in the same sense that, many of the conservatives will dismiss anything Rachel Maddow says. I don't see him as a huge issue and problem. He's off of television news. Television news still has a major sway over a large percentage of the population, just like normal radio does. And a lot of people don't realize that, the Ben Shapiros of the world, Sean Hannity's of the world, drive around the country like I do. They're on the radio 2-3 hours a day as well. Forget about just their TV shows. They're on AM and FM. They're syndicated everywhere. So I don't think that, I don't know that you could get to the level where they try to take you out until you try to take actual political power. Another reason I really do believe that the Trump assassination was real. But again, not trying to go back into that. I'm sure we'll have a show.
Hell no, bro. Absolutely, definitively not real, man.
I mean, again.
But, I mean, this is why I feel it was fake. It got a lot of people behind him. It got Elon Musk.
And gave
It
him a
got
reason
Mark
to hate Iran.
Zuckerberg. Exactly, Monica. You got my back on this. Let's go, Monica. Let's tag team Mr. Bermas right now. The fake ass Trump assassination.
Let's not tag team me, guys. It doesn't sound good.
Goons, man. Let's go, Monica. I'm gonna tag you in. Bam.
All right.
Yeah,
so
Monica, go for it.
the Candace Owen thing, if you read, so the idea that this was not planned, that Trump was at all not in on it, he's done so many things that led to this moment, which started with 2018. He pulled the U.S. out of the Iran deal, which had resulted in this Fordo nuclear facility removing 2/3 of its centrifuges, like basically immediately. So in order to set the stage for this, he had to get out of that. Then if you look at the his executive orders from earlier this year and from his last term, I think 14188 or 13899, these two that talk to each other are about anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, whatever. And they talk about the International Holocaust Remembrance Association definition, which says, stuff about, or it's certainly interpreted to be where if you criticize Israel, you're committing anti-Semitism, which is basically going to be, I think, used as an excuse to suppress disagreements with the war. But if you have someone like Candace Owens saying all this stuff that might qualify under that, like if it starts getting read more strictly, nothing's ever going to happen to her. But the people who think, well, she's saying it, it's okay to say it, then you get everybody doing it, and you can pick and choose who's controlled and who's not, and put in the closet, put in jail the people who that you don't want to hear from, and give a pass to somebody like her. Same, and with Tucker Carlson, you need someone to make people feel like their point of view is being expressed. It's a relief valve. Nothing's going to change. He has no control over the policy. You can see once Russia lost Syria, that's when the green light happened, in my opinion. It has nothing to do with anything but Russia just not being able to stop it.
In the Ukraine, I believe it was, there's
Yeah.
a lot to it. There's ethnic cleansing of white Christians going on there. Both Putin and Zelensky are of the tiny hat people. So you can get into that, but also
Putin, really?
yeah, you look deep enough, he's Jewish. And then you go into so Russia, I've been following, obviously Syria and all that stuff and trying to get oil. I think Qatar or one of those places that they discovered more oil in, they had to go through Syria, and Syria was an ally of Russia, and Russia can't let that pipeline happen because that would destroy their ability to get oil, to have Europe, what's the word I'm looking for? Dependent, excuse me, on Russian oil,
yeah.
right? So, but if you take over that area, which is all part of this Greater Israel Project, which is just a name they put on it, so it could have a brand. In reality, this is all about controlling routes. But once you get Russia into the quagmire of the Ukraine war, now their eye got taken off of Syria, and that's why Syria falls.
Absolutely agreed. And I wouldn't put it past them. I always thought Trump's term was 12 years. It's going to take 12 years to get this done. And this pulling out of the Iran thing in 2018, that was a long time ago. So anything that's happened between then and now could very well be strictly to make this happen. So he got impeached for not giving military aid to Ukraine. And that gave the Democrats a green light all the way to get this war accelerated. And it could be solely for the reason of occupying Russia.
And this notion that this wouldn't be happening if we had Kamala Harris is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. She Biden left all the weapons in Afghanistan to arm the Taliban. Okay, the Taliban. He bombed Iran, and dude, he basically funded and armed the ethnic cleansing of white Christians in the Ukraine. The only difference between a Trump press conference about bombing Iran and a Kamala Harris conference about bombing Iran is that Trump's are all closeted gays behind him, and Kamala Harris would have trans, fat feminists, and BLM behind her. That is literally the only difference between how those two would operate.
And she would say it was humanitarian. I mean, Obama dropped a lot of bombs on Syria and he deported a lot of people. He just didn't shake his fist.
It's the same stuff, man. It just changes from a D to an R. I mean, I remember people were saying Trump was the anti-war president, and I was calling out from the rooftop saying, no, he's the same son of a bitch as everyone else prior to him. He was threatening Iran in his first term. He threatened Venezuela in his first term. And so all these freaking clowns, oh, he's anti-war. He's anti-war. Oh my gosh, he went back on his. What are you talking about? That's what you chose. Were you not paying attention? So it's just some bullshit excuses that people make that, oh my God, I don't know what happened here. No, he's the same freaking puppet as any other predecessor before him. Simple
I love
as that,
Bizarro Sam's energy, dude. I really love it.
Hell yeah, bro.
So I'm gonna come with a different take slightly. I think two things can be true at once, and I don't, I definitely don't think that he's the savior by any stretch of the imagination. But the whole Trump assassination being theater, I think that does fit into a view of what people think is going on, and that would fit into a specific script. But I don't see any evidence of that. And honestly, if I look at the timeline, it almost makes more sense that it wasn't. And they did want to take him out, like Jason Bermas said. When you look at like the timing of it, he just wanted to debate, reflect on what was going on at the time. He just completely demolished Biden on a debate. The Democrats are basically panicking because it's obvious and they can't hide anymore that he literally cannot run. And then he gets the assassination attempt happens. Then after that, magically Joe Biden has COVID and can't talk to the media. Then magically after that, they say, hey, by the way, now like he's stepping down and we're going with Harris. So it's like there is a little bit of evidence that like, hey, plan A was take him out, because if they took out Trump that late into or that close to the election, like Harris was or Joe Biden was gonna win. I mean, who were they gonna put out there that was gonna be able to gather enough?
My only pushback against that is that's why Nikki Haley was staying in it so long, is she was absolutely getting murdered in the polls, but she kept staying along in the hopes. And the only thing I will say is this, is like, if you do a magical trick with an assassination of Trump, right, which should have been talked about forever. I mean, because if you really look at all the high impact events of the history of the United States, the only thing left that they haven't done and recreated again, like Pearl Harbor, 9/11, is an assassination of a president. That is the last one. And if you do this thing and you make Trump seem like they tried to take him out, you galvanize everyone behind him even more. You're like, oh man, they are trying to take him out. We gotta rally behind this guy. And so I just think, like, if you study high impact events, whether it's the JFK assassination and you study the Pearl Harbor or 9/11 in particular, the layers of basically teams that were brought in. It's not just, oh, they were planes. We got a debate about that. But it was explosives. It's like direct energy weapons, weather manipulation. And each one doesn't know about the other one, because they don't want anyone talking about this, and they think they're the ones that are going to get it done. So they all go. I mean, the assassination squads that went into JFK, and we have people out there that think that wasn't real. That was just a kill the king ceremony. Yeah. But the amount of assassin squads that were there in the plaza, it was everywhere. It was like a John Wick movie, man. He was going into, it's like when the John Wick part in the movie where all of a sudden all the flip phones go off and everybody there is an assassin. That to me is, if they really want somebody out, they don't get out of there. That's it.
That's
that
it.
just says,
all right. Okay. Now I got to push back.
That's it.
Hold on.
Bush.
I got to push back on that very point with your own point. Okay. So, Sam, you mentioned 9/11, and you mentioned different teams and technologies, okay? TMZ, of all places, recently put out a documentary last year. They just made it free about two and a half weeks ago on YouTube, on the plane United 23, okay? So, I had this in my film Fabled Enemies. There was limited information then. This expands upon this information, and this shows you an entire other team, and really two other teams, on 9/11 that were never supposedly captured, prosecuted, talked about. We know there's FBI documents on it. TMZ actually tried to get those documents. They got a big, not giving you nothing. So, what do we know about 20 years ago? On United 23, what was reported was that individuals who were quote-unquote Muslim in appearance and dress were on the plane and United 23 and suspected of going to be hijacking that airplane. They disboarded the plane because it did not take off on time because there were too many planes on the runway by chance. And when they looked at the luggage matched the same kind of luggage that Muhammad Atta had, the Quran, the plane manuals, all those different things that was left, I believe, in Boston Airport on the neighboring or connecting flight.
Conveniently. Yeah.
Conveniently. Now, that's all we really knew, that they disappeared, never got them. This documentary takes it so much further. You want to talk about teams? They brought a child on the plane, okay? So these guys that were in first class, number one, supposedly they had a child with them. They had a man dressed in a burqa with them. They found weapons after the fact on a neighboring plane. The FBI questioned all the stewardesses and the pilot. They even brought in an FBI lineup afterwards of people that they brought in, none of which were the people that they saw. Now, that's one team on United 23. The other team is that they saw people on the runway after the fact in the plane, at least two other people. Now, the FBI specifically asked all of those people why the hatch was open underneath the floorboards that takes us down into the electrical equipment. They're all like, I don't know what you're talking about. First of all, that plane was also very empty, just like the other planes. They're like, wow, it's really empty in here. So just magically another empty
with the
plane
Trump assassination
with hijackers. But listen to this. So again, you had two people on the runway in the plane.
Sam, hold on.
After the fact. So either they're there to get whatever weapons were placed there first on board, or they're down there in the electrical equipment the entire time, and they're going to hijack the plane that way if Plan A doesn't, or if Plan A goes through.
But Jason, I think, and what Wheezy is talking about as well, is that we are lied to about everything. All of my books, I stress that over and over again. I've researched hidden history going back to the beginning of this country. I have yet to find any incident that they told the truth about. If you just do a little digging, you can find the lies. You can find the collateral deaths. You can find the missing evidence and everything. 9/11 is a huge thing. When I was writing American Memory Hall, I discovered that Muhammad Atta's father went on German television after 9/11 and talked about how his son called him up and was fearing for his life, that he thought Israel was trying to kill him. And he couldn't even get on American media. That's how big this thing is. So something like what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, it's in keeping tradition from JFK, 9/11. But it isn't investigated. So what do we have there? Whether it happened, and you have millions of people believing it's fake because they do seem to stage things. It's a Sandy Hook effect. But if you have something like, we know what the story there is when you have a BBC reporter, interviewing witnesses is talking about, well, yeah, we saw this guy, climbing up the side of the building, and we tried to tell law enforcement, and they weren't interested. The guy was walking around with a rifle, and some people claimed he was carrying his own ladder on his bicycle. I mean, the reports, and he had two vehicles there. I mean, if that doesn't cry out for investigation, I don't know what it means.
Well, I agree there needs
it's
investigation.
ridiculous.
I'm not buying the official version. I just think they tried to kill him. And you know what? Let me just
And I think you're wrong, bro.
I
He turned
get
his
it.
head at Trump turned his head at just the right moment. Lincoln, 160 years prior, turned his head at the wrong moment and gets shot in the same damn year.
But let me
Come
ask
on,
you
man.
something,
Get outta
Jason.
here.
Jason.
There's too many
Jason,
coincidences.
hold on.
man.
Hold on. Let me ask you something, Jason. And I know you are an expert in 9/11, and I totally respect that. And I love you. My question, though, you bring up all the other people and all that. How does that not fit into what I'm saying?
No,
That
it
there's
does.
levels to
Sam,
this stuff.
I was trying to make the point that you're right, that they do have these other things. But on the flip side of that, there's no accountability. There's no way to apparently get the documentation on it. We haven't had any prosecutions there. And let me talk about something that I've seen evidence of many fake things, but also believe is real. Space. You know, NASA, listen, I am a NASA nut. Like I know that I knew I was going to get Sam. That's why I brought it up with you.
I mean,
I'm just
that's
telling
a whole
you.
nother conversation.
Well, let me say this,
We were lied to.
guys.
They tell you they lost the original Apollo 11
Guys,
Telemetry data.
again, if you'll allow me,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
if you'll allow me, I agree.
You want to debate that too, Jason?
Listen, oh my goodness, if
do
you'll
a
allow
banger
me,
of a show.
I will
I'll
debate
on moon
it.
landings and on the fake
I
assassination.
like
baby.
Here we
me
go.
a lot.
Here
I
we go.
like me a lot.
Guys, once
Do
again,
it, buddy.
I'm one of the biggest moon skeptics out there. I literally follow. I watch NASA television at night. Okay, I get it. They faked footage. I believe the ISS is
They
real.
faked the whole damn thing, bro. Just like the assassination.
Again, man.
God damn it.
I understand the perspective, but I'm not just watching, you know, an assortment of clips that is 10 minutes long. That's like 20 different clips. I'm watching 3 to 4 hour videos.
Brother,
in
I
tandem.
have architects and
Hold on.
engineers on my show debunking the whole damn thing.
Listen,
I have
my friend,
I have
I'm
two
not-
astrophysicists debunking the thing.
I'm not.
You
I'm
think
not,
I'm in the basement watching
brother
clips?
I think
TikToks?
that you're misunderstanding. I'm not advocating for the Apollo moon landings by any means. I'm extremely skeptical of them. Okay, what I am saying to you is I've watched people like John Glenn in their, I believe he was in his either late 70s or 80s, go back up to the ISS, sitting there doing pull-ups for 20 minutes. I don't think they're faking that. I think that there is a mix of Hollywood production in many of these things in the propaganda, but ultimately a lot of these technologies are real. And just like in the sense that I don't believe the official version that we are fed for Butler, Pennsylvania, I still think they tried to kill the guy. I don't think it's one or the other. And again,
I agree with Jason because the truth is, well, first of all, I don't believe we went to the moon. I had Bart Sabrella on my show years ago.
Yes, me
I'm on
too.
this show, and then he killed it on the Rogan podcast. But you know, I don't think we went to the moon. There's too much. But again, the timing doesn't make sense either. Like I don't need to believe anything. Like if you guys gave me more than I think they faked it because it just seems like something they would do. Like to me, that's not evidence. Like to me, the timing makes zero sense.
It's physically impossible to get shot like that and
Yeah.
get up and start saying fight with your head. But it's like psychologically and physically impossible. You can tell by
it's
looking
not.
at it.
But it's not.
Okay.
Like
Yes, it is.
it really isn't physically impossible. He got his
think it
ear
is.
in. There's
But,
tons.
but an investigation would resolve that. If you really
I think there's
investigate
one-
it, you could resolve it. But it hasn't been investigated.
There's one caveat to that. If he turns his head, we get war with Iran. If he doesn't turn his head, we get war with Iran.
Well, that's the thing. Why would they take him out? He does exactly what they want.
Yeah,
He
like
set it up
what
the whole
hasn't he
time.
done? What
Let
hasn't
me
he
make-
done?
That's all
Let
they
me make
wanted,
one-
and he's doing it. And he was going to do it anyway.
One point that I haven't heard anyone ever mention. When you hurt a body part, a hand, a foot, or whatever, your immediate reaction is to what? Go and give it solace, right? When he hits his he took a bullet to his ear, allegedly. He never goes back and touches his ear and holds it like, God damn it, I almost got killed. If he would have been doing that shit, I probably would have bought it. He never
Who
once
gets
did
up
it. He
after
never
they got
once did it,
shot,
man.
dude?
I honestly,
When I was
Bullshit.
young in LA, used to go to this club on Pico. It was I forget the name of the club, but it was an all black club. I was literally the only white person there. And 2 doors down, a guy drove up and just shot this dude. Everybody drops. Everybody drops until the shots are done. And it was hilarious. The entire room just turns to me going, "You okay, dude? You all right?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, you can tell this is my first shooting." But the point is that you do not immediately get right back up because you don't know if they're going to shoot again. That's my whole thing. Like, nothing about this makes any sense. And then not only, guys, is he gotten shot, now he's putting up more targets for them to hit by doing this and he's opening to more targets.
yeah,
And
but
he's worried about his damn shoes first thing off the bat.
Well, and
Get my shoes.
later that week, I was at the RNC, and the bandage was so big on the side of his head, he looked like Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
My
he
pillow.
goes down. He goes now. Now I will say, I do think they took that fireman out. Maybe that's even a hoax, but I do believe to set the precedence, this is real. they're not afraid to take out a person along the way, a pawn in the game. And I do believe that that life was lost. I send love and condolences to his family. But I do believe that they have zero problems with taking out.
Listen. I just got to point out. Hold on, quick. I just got to point out. He did grab his ear. It's right here. It's right when he got shot. I mean, the idea that he didn't grab, that's him,
no
steel
blood?
shot as he grabbed his ear.
He never goes back.
Brother, he gets there, and then he's on the ground in the next shots.
That was my point.
Weezy, calm down. He got, first of all, I have been somewhere where there's been shots fired at a club, similar thing. Somebody not that far got skimmed by they didn't even know what was happening. They literally looked, there's a little bit of blood. It happened so quickly. Adrenaline rush. I mean, you're up there, you hear shots.
And there you have it, folks. There is the end of part 1 of this forum debate, if you will, on really the nature of reality. And you really get to see a varying, widespread amount of viewpoints across varying angles. And I'm sorry, folks, but I just think that once again, I am utilizing actual evidence and discernment. That doesn't mean that I can't be proven wrong, but certainly in this case, I think I was right. Stay tuned for tomorrow's part 2. It is Making Sense of the Madness. I love you guys, and we'll see you on the flip side.